Good afternoon, everybody. This is the last session of the forum, so I'm actually holding you back from enjoying Hong Kong. But I promise you it will be a good session, okay? Now, just to set the context correct, this session is on digital transformation in emerging Asia, opportunity and challenges. So if you think you entered the wrong session, just to tell you know that there's no other session, you might as well stay on. Okay, like I said, let me set the context for today's session. We all know, actually, in the past few years, there's a lot of effort going into digitalization. A lot of economy are talking about digital transformation, everything is going online. And I think you are familiar with this, is actually, we thought it's the CEO or CIO that will drive digitalization. Unfortunately, is another C, which is COVID, a virus, looks that. But, okay, that still drive a lot of digitalization for a lot of economy. Now, as we now come out from the pandemic, borders are open, many of the pre-COVID activities are resuming. So that's the good news. Unfortunately, what happened is that inflation, global inflation has stayed stubbornly high. And we all know that if you read about news, the winter has set on the tech industry. There's a lot of layoff. Now, so it seems that the global economic outlook is a bit uncertain. So how does that going to affect the current effort on digitalization, digital transformation in economy? Okay, so today, what we want to do is how can government and industry work together to bring the next level of digital transformation? Is it more about the same? Do we change course? So with us, I have a panel of distinguished speakers, and let me introduce one by one. Okay, first speaker will be Dr. Sack. He is the Senior Advisor, Electronic Transaction Development Agency, Ministry of Digital Economy and Society, Thailand. Second speaker, Wan. I just learned how to pronounce it. Wan. She's the Deputy Director of Corporation Resource Management Department, VNIC. And the third speaker we have, Mr. Jun Vincent. He is the Bureau Director of Government Digital Transformation Bureau, Department of Information and Communication Technology. The fourth speaker, Ms. Ira Chen. She is the chairperson of Tech for Good Institute. And last but not least, I have Mr. Timothy Tam, Head of Government Affairs and Public Policy, Google Singapore. By the way, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Kwei Serpeng. I'm the General Manager for SGNIC, the registry for .sg. Okay, without further ado, can we have the slide for Dr. Sack? Yeah, the floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Before I start my presentation, okay, because this session is about digital transformation, and I'm from the government agency, so I would like to tell you what should be the role of government agency to drive digital transformation. In my opinion, I think there are three elements of digital economy. The first one is digital ID. This is my national ID card. In Thailand, you need to present this to government agency, private sector, to prove yourself. And this is the digital ID version of Thailand. Okay? You can use these ones, almost everything, including proving yourself, doing government transaction online. But I can tell you, it took us 8 years to get from this to this. I mean, that's too much. Okay, that's the second one. That's the first one. The second one is digital payment. I show you my digital payment, my bank. Let me see. Okay. Oh, this is my QR code payment. This is which is called prompt pay. Okay, you can use this one to do things online in Thailand. You don't need to bring cash, and you can do this in Singapore as well. Now you're beginning to see my point now. Behind this success is the Bank of Thailand. It took us probably 10 years to get to from the beginning until now. Okay. The third one, which is probably the most tricky one, is the digital data. Okay. Okay. Where is my clicker? So my agency is the one behind this. Okay. We need to drive the adoption of digital transformation, but you need to build some sort of enabling system, trusted service. That is my agency mandate. Okay? ETDA has been founded, I think 10 years ago, something like that. And we actually take care of one of the first, no, actually the first digital law of Thailand, the Electronic Transaction Act, 20 years ago. And nothing happened since we, issued that law until, I think, probably 8 years ago that we started to know what to do. And probably the technology is were not ready for us back then. Okay. But now I can tell you everything is ready now. Right now, Thailand, I think we have more than 10 digital laws. Okay? Yeah. Okay, yeah. I think we have more than 10, in total, around 20 digital related laws. From policy, infrastructure, ecosystem, payment, and everything, okay, involves something probably around 10 agencies plus another 10 regulators. So my point is that government needs to work together. Right now we have digital regulator, okay, apart from my agency, 5 or 4 more. We need to work together. Imagine if the Bank of Thailand issue a measure to combat fraud, and the National Telecom Committee issue another way of doing it. Imagine people would be confused. So we need to work together in order to come up with a way to make our people, our citizens, understand that digital is not just a technology now, it's like everyday life now, okay? This is what I'm trying to say, okay? We need to do cross-sector regulator. For example, in Thailand, we have the privacy agency, we have the National Security Agency, of course, ETDA is doing the transaction, and the National Broadcast is doing the telecom. Behind that, we have 3 more, or no, probably 10 more sectors, the finance, okay, the government, the healthcare, and so on. And beneath that, you have special agency that took care of special things. So all you need to work together. That is what I'm trying to say here. But not only among the government, but for example, in Thailand, I think we need to work with our neighbor as well. For example, I tell you about, the Bank of Thailand talked to the Bank of Singapore to get the Pay Now and Prompt Pay to work together. So it's not just your government, in your country, but your regions, country as well. We need to work together. Probably on a global scale, we need to work together. I posed you a question. Now you see my digital ID for Thailand. Can we use digital ID in other countries? Things like that, we need to make sure that it could work together. I don't know who's going to lead this initiative. Okay, but what Thailand has been doing, I think, is showing to you that digital is borderless. You cannot do it alone. That's my point. So when we start coming up with a number of digital laws, you have to have some sort of framework to make sure that you don't miss out anything. So we pick up the Consumer Digital Right issued by the ITU some years ago, because we have to make sure that our citizen is protected. Not just fraud, but also other things, for example, the business side as well. And you can actually go to the website in the slide. To make sure that we come up with the law that would protect everybody. Apart from this, I would like to show you that right now what we are doing here is take care of three things this year. The first one is the digital ID. We have a Digital ID Act, which would be effective next month. It means that who would like to issue digital ID, you need to be regulated by ETDA, something like that. The second law is a digital platform service. Of course, Google is one of the major platform in Thailand. We have to register with my agency as well. The third one is AI. Okay, let me ask you, do we need AI regulation? Anyone? Do we need to regulate AI? Raise your hand. Come on, guys. Do we need to regulate it? Are you going to let OpenAI do everything they want? You know what happened with the EU AI regulation? It was supposed to finish by April, but they postponed until last week. You know why? Because they didn't think ChatGPT would do such thing. I mean, come on, it took them 3 years to come up with the AI regulation, and suddenly generative AI came out, and then okay, we didn't think of that, we didn't think of this. Why? I ask you why? Why suddenly generative AI came out and say, okay, we didn't think of this before. We need to regulate AI, but the way we regulate is very important. Let me show you how Thailand is trying to regulate AI. First, we don't want to rush up issuing AI regulation. I can tell you, because you never know what's going to bring you next. What you see here with the ChatGPT, it was what they did 2 years ago. What is happening in their lab right now? Can you imagine? So we need to be very careful in regulating AI. So what ETDA is trying to do, instead of come up with the way to regulate AI, we need to make sure that our existing law is okay to unlock the potential of AI. This is one thing. Things like AI sandbox is going on to be available soon. And we need to come up with a way to talk with all the stakeholders, not just the regular sector, but also everyone actually. Okay? So we expect to have AI regulation sometime, probably next year, something like that. And this is a Thailand Digital ID framework as well. As I told you, we took 7 years to come up with this picture. So if we learn from each other, you don't need to waste your time like Thailand, I can tell you. Really? I mean, and digital ID is very important. It's one of the basic elements of digital economy. And okay, well, I have only 1 minute. My conclusion would be that we need to work together. not just the government, but also the industry as well. Last week, I talked to Google Thailand. We come up with a workshop that, Google should tell us what we should do, in terms of, regulate AI by Google, because we already talked to Microsoft and Amazon as well. Okay, so guys, work together because AI is going to change everything. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Sap. Thanks for the insightful things that Thailand has done. Yeah, I do agree with you. For AI and for any new technology, if you regulate right at the start, you are cramping down innovation. So I have a word for it. We call it progressive regulation.
In Singapore, you still didn't have AI regulation.
Thank you. Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
But you have some sort of recommendation, which is a good idea.
The ethic part. Yeah. Okay. Let's have the second presenter, Ms. Wan from VNIC.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm from VNIC, Vietnam. As you know, VNIC is we take care for .vn, and also and we are also the national internet registry, take care of all of the IP address in Vietnam. And today I'm very happy to share with you basically about the digital transformation in Vietnam, and hope to can share our experience, also to learn about another country like Thailand, also from another private sector like Google. And first, as you know, digital transformation actually action in Vietnam 3 years ago, following the decision from the Prime Minister of government. We had the 3 main pillars for the program: for digital economy, digital government, and digital society. And for digital government, we need to have a 4 no. Yes, no hard document, no need face-to-face meeting, no direct contact, and no cash. Yet I think you are on some notes in this slide. So we will look forward in the future. Maybe we complete the program in 2025. And we look forward to have have own process online, have ability to provide new service. Yet, as you know, you can have a lot of the new technology. So I believe that we have a new service on the internet. Yeah, like something that yesterday we have to talk about this morning. And also another, we have the ability to make decisions by database. As you know, when digital transformation, we have a great number of database. And so we can decision by following database. And also in the last half, have ability to deal with hard big problem. That I mean that if you had a hard issue, hard problem, so we didn't know how to deal with. So I believe that the transformation for digital transformation can help us to deal with the big hard problem following the database and new process as well. And some targets following the program, then it's a lot of the targets. So I just focus on something for our government. They focus on the 80% of level 4 online public service. Is that means that all process online. And by 2030, we look forward all of the level 4 online public service. Yeah, we online all of the process. Yeah. Also, we have look forward to data platform for all of the militaries on the reporting system of government, and also to connect with the IoT infrastructure as well. And we look how that the target will help us to rank in the top 50. And as you know, up to now, we got a great number of the level 4 online public service, and 90% of the service from government, we public online on the portal. Yes, all the service we publish a portal for everyone, every company. And also we from government, we require all the ministry and brands having plan for digital transformation. So all of the ministry and brand and many company entity in Vietnam, we choose a digital transformation is one of the important tasks in this year. Yeah, in like 5 years as well. And also we published the data exchange platform on the website and launched in the 2020. And now we got maybe 1.4 billion transactions. And we believe that is a great number to share the database on the not only the population but also the customer, also the company, and of course the company outside Vietnam. You can look at it. And another field, the digital economy. As we look forward to develop the economy in Vietnam following the digital transformation, and we got the great number of contribute for GDP, that we look forward to 30% contribute much more for our GDP by 2030. And we look forward, Vietnam is ranked in the top 30 on the ICT Development Index in 8 years. And now I believe that SME is one of the important subjects when you deploy digital transformation. So we have a SME program. There's a program can support the SME to transformation, to make them better. And also we had from our military, we had the program to make in Vietnam. So that means that every company, every entity and organization can have the platform by themselves to make in Vietnam to support the Vietnamese people and also another customer, not only in Vietnam but outside Vietnam. And also the digital transformation can make the e-commerce development better. 75% internet users in Vietnam use the e-commerce. They can buy and sell products, goods online. And of course, they can pay online already. And the growth rate of the e-commerce very well, yes, 20%. Yeah, last year, as you know, last year we can have some trouble after COVID-19. So, however, the growth rate of the e-commerce development is a great number, 25%. I think it's a great. And the target about the digital society, the last figure, yeah, we look forward to support and to contribute about the infrastructure and platform. Yeah, platform, digital platform, digital infrastructure to have everyone in Vietnam can connect internet. Yes, not only in the city, but also in the province, in the mountain. Yeah, we look forward to they can connect internet, yeah, and also can connect 5G, 4G. And also they have the digital taking account. Yeah, and all of the infrastructure, all of the platform can be done. So we look forward to a great number, top 30 on global cybersecurity index for the digital society. And how we achieve about the digital society. We got maybe nearly 80% internet user, and almost the households have the FTTH. Yeah, and also 86% of internet user using 4G and 5G. And we also have planned to turn up for 2G and 3G in the near future. Yeah, and as variety sector, we look forward and promote them to digital transformation. First, financial banking. I think almost the banking use the, maybe they run the digital transformation first. That you can use a credit card, not only in your country, but also another country in the world. And also we promote healthcare can easy to actually in COVID-19. Yeah. Also, we promote education and another issue like transport and logistics engineer and another sector you can see on the screen. And that we look forward to a great life for everyone in Vietnam. And also, I believe that if we had the same activity, we make it better, so the area, the region is better. And the last thing I think is the topic of this session for some concern and opportunity. Yes. There's the big concern regarding to, I think that there are many concerns. Some how to develop the digital infrastructure platform, about the human resources, because you have new technology, so we need to build a lot of things. So how about the cybersecurity, because the internet development, so many cyber crime. And how about the privacy database? So we just easy to lose your database on the internet. You put on the internet, so it's not the security, but everyone can connect by something official or not officially. Yeah. And some regarding to the company and government is the budget. Yeah, we need to have money to do that and address some issue in Vietnam. And opportunity, we also we look forward to deploy the digital transformation to make our company to faster with the one platform for all, and safer because we have the privacy regulation and other regulation to support customer, and also smarter with new technology, 5G, IoT, cloud AI, big data, and IPv6+ as well. And that's all my presentation, and thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wan. Your for, have, and not. I thought it's quite interesting. Yeah. Okay, next speaker, we'll have Mr. Jun. Would you want to share some of your experience and that you are doing in your country? Yeah. You just speak, I think.
Sound.
You know,
Sound. Oh,
yes.
Okay, everybody's awake. Thank you very much. First off, I would like to thank the organizers. Thank you for inviting us here, the Philippines. There's so many things happening in the Philippines right now. This is the golden age of digital transformation in the Philippines. So if you are all service providers here, you can rally up and go to the Philippines. Okay, so my name is Jun Vincent Manuel Gaudan. My friends call me Wix. I'm the youngest director of the Department of Information and Communications Technology. I head the Government Digital Transformation Bureau. Yes, everything government digital transformation comes to my office. That's why I hit the office by 8 until 11 in the evening. So kidding aside, so the Philippines right now is entering a new age of digital transformation. Unlike Vietnam and our Thailand ASEAN friends, we are so young. The Department of Information and Communications Technology was penned into law 7 years ago. So we are relatively young, right? And out of those 7 years, there came 5 ministers already, or secretaries. So can you imagine the change? It is not just digital transformation, but it is also department transformation every now and then. So that was the dilemma, that was a challenge of the Philippines back then. But with the new president now, that's why I believe that digital transformation will be really, really effective if the instruction is coming from a higher authority. Because if you understand digital transformation in its basic sense, there are 3 spokes of the wheel, all right? If it is a wheel, there are 3 spokes for it to move forward. The first spoke is the software, the second spoke is the hardware, and lastly, the peopleware. In the Philippines, peopleware is very, very difficult to actually transform, because there's emotion, there's that love to old technology, there's that love of legacy systems. So that is what our office is actually doing every day. Most of it is more of the people. But when I shared my presentation to our friends here, the organizers, they said that my presentation was very, very big. It's a large file, and the computer somewhat lagged, you know. So I decided not to present it anymore. Why? Because we're 7 years old. Sir is from Thailand, is doing 19 years, 20 years already, and of course Vietnam, our friends from ASEAN. So we are doing so much. That's why my presentation is really packed. We're doing the IDs, digital IDs, we're doing the EKYC, and all together with a different memorandum of understanding to the different agencies, because in the Philippines, we coined a very important thing with the president, is that he said, let's stop the long lines, let's get online. That's the mandate that is coming from him. So how do we do that? First is that we establish the ID. That was the first step. Thailand is right that if you want to learn from the mistakes of other countries, you do it with the ID. Secondly, which is a challenge now, is the PKI, or the digital signature. In a digital transformed world, it's difficult to actually deny the fact that, okay, digital signatures come in late, but digital ID and digital signature should be the first one to actually change. Because when you go and present yourself, like for example, you go to the social security system of your country, and then who are you? I mean, how will you be able to prove that you are indeed Shet, for example, right? So the thing is, we did that also, and that's part of the presentation. That's why it's really thick if you print my presentation. And then next, we move on forward to, because there are about 600 government websites in the Philippines, and all offering citizens-facing services. Can you just imagine if you want to deal with the government, there's no one face. It's 600. And then we, years back, we actually did the national government portal, but it eventually failed because of the changing administration. So what we did this month, ICT, oh no, it's not this month already, it's actually July. Last month was the ICT month in the Philippines. So what we did was, we launched the first ever in the Philippines, the e-government PH super app. It's a super app where all citizen-facing government frontline services are available. It's also your ID, because we learned from Singapore, from Thailand, from Vietnam. And then you can also, later on, in its next phase, you can pay all the transactions in the government. So what we are doing right now is that the Government Digital Transformation Bureau is not all of the, by the way, the system in the Philippines is pretty much good because of the fact that the Government Digital Transformation Bureau holds all the approvals of all government purchases of ICT equipments and even softwares. So right now, my bureau can control the growth of the Philippines when it comes to government digital transformation. You can't buy a laptop without the approval of the bureau. So we're an archipelagic country. If you view Philippines, if you haven't seen who among you here have been in the Philippines, who's been to the Philippines? Thank you. Boracay, is that Palawan or Metro Manila? So we have three major islands. That's Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. We're an archipelagic country. We have 7,000 islands. And the most amazing thing is that our systems are also islands. It's not talking to one another. Like for example, if you go to another agency, once you go to another agency, you fill up the forms, so on and so forth, and now we get our we get everybody moving to digital transform already, and that's why the eGov Super App is very, very useful. And then we also have initiatives such as giving out free services, free softwares to digitalize or to digital transform our local government units. Because after all, digital transformation really should stem from the grassroots. And that is where peopleware is very, very important. So once you talk about digital transformation, I don't talk about the technology. Technology can be studied now and gone later. You have AI today and then super AI tomorrow, right? So it's really the people who are using that technology and really telling them that digital transformation is here to stay because of the COVID-19 pandemic. We've seen that. There's so many government transaction that was not able to pursue or push through because of the fact that we have the COVID-19 pandemic. I believe Hong Kong was the last one to be, it's a restrictive move from your government to really close up Hong Kong, you know. But in the Philippines, we realized that if we don't digitally transform, then might as well not. How will we be able to prepare for the future, right? I mean, it's amazing. So that's why we're young. We're a young organization, 7 years old, and I hope that we'll be staying in office for quite some time because that is very important, sustainability. And by the way, talking about sustainability, we're dealing with the present issue. We're also targeting the midterm. We're also targeting the long term. And I'm very thankful for the President and our Secretary, Secretary Ivan John Uy, and President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos, and of course my boss, the Undersecretary for E-Government, Yusek David Almerol Jr., because they lobbied for the e-governance bill in the Philippines. So that is why Philippines right now is really more into the digital transformation. That's why when you talk about what are the possible prospects for digital transformation service providers, or it's really, really raw in the Philippines, and the market is really heating up. And I hope that we can maintain that. And that's why we are making sure that all of these sustainable, that all of our actions right now are sustainable, is that we implement a law. In the Philippines, if you have a law, it's very difficult to actually change it. So I hope that we will learn the lesson from Thailand, that when they have a law, it took them for how many years to actually implement, and I believe that I have a lot to learn from other countries, but we are trying our best. You know, Filipinos are very resilient, and Filipinos are very, very social media savvy. 5% of our population now is posting or either commenting or reacting online. So we're the number one when it comes to social media. So I think it's not difficult for us to digitally transform. It's really the mindset and the peopleware that really makes the entire digital transformation. Remember, it's a journey. It's not just the government. It's not just the private sector, but hand in hand together. And so as the government, controlled, owned, and corporations, the education sector. I think that's why I'm here. I want to learn a lot, and being here is just an amazing journey for us. So once again, thank you. And if you have any questions about the Philippines, you can talk to me after the program. Maraming salamat po.
Okay. Right. Hello. Thank you, Jun. Nice to hear a young and energetic economy trying to start its digital journey. Okay, we have heard from 3 government speakers. Let's hear from the industry. May I have Ilaria Chan to share your views?
Sure. Well, thank you so much for having us. I'll introduce myself. I'm Ilaria Chan. My previous career was actually with Goldman Sachs and helping take Asian companies public in the Western world. And later on, I joined Grab in the corporate finance division before it went IPO, and moved on to be an advisor to Grab's public affairs, and also am now the chair of a think tank called Tech for Good Institute that's founded by Grab in 2021, right before Grab's IPO. And Tech for Good Institute is really trying to bring together public and private sector in Southeast Asia. How do you harness tech for good? How do we nation build with tech and the growth of tech? And it's an honor, actually, to serve with our founding team right now, going into almost 2 years of work. So we convene the community in Southeast Asia to decide what's going on and how can we learn from each other. Maybe I'll do like, I don't know, how many of you have been to any country in Southeast Asia? The 10 countries. So that's like, well, actually this side, for some reason, nobody raised their hand. Okay. Somebody go and tell them all about Southeast Asia and give them lots of hotel coupons and drinks coupons so they would go. I think it's very important to visit Southeast Asia, minus Singapore, to actually understand that part of the world. What's so funny? Sorry, I didn't mean to be funny. Because what I'm about to talk about involves gaps, for example, in transportation, in traffic, that needs to be solved. For example, in Manila, one time I was stuck for 2.5 hours, literally in traffic for a 1 mile distance. So I got off the car and started walking. That wouldn't happen in Singapore because it is run in a different way. The size of the population is different. So if you've only been to Singapore, also please visit other countries too, because digital transformation is about solving a lot of the social gaps in the more developing nations there. But if we zoom out and we look at the countries in Southeast Asia, it has around 680 million people. That's double the size of US. The internet economy is projected to hit $1 trillion by 2030. Around 3/5 of the population are under 35 years old. Philippines, for example, I think the Asian Development Bank and the IMF did a study that their population is yet to peak for another 10 plus years, which means that they have a very young working population. Vietnam as well. So many people are very spending savvy, they are digital savvy, and they don't mind maxing out their credit cards so to go out and have a drink on Monday night. That actually forecasts a very different economy and spending pattern for the consumer industry versus an economy that is aging and has different priorities. 6 in 10 are underbanked or unbanked, meaning they may still store their cash and coins under their beds. And 30% roughly are people who are still not really online. They don't really know how to work online and missing out on the offers of the digital economy. And yet, the overall mobile penetration is almost over 120% if you put everyone together. So you can go to some of these countries like Indonesia, Philippines, where you can see someone sitting on the side of the road and they have 3 cell phones on all at the same time. And all of them have a different function. I'll give a couple of very interesting examples that underscores these live examples. I was doing some field trips bringing people from the US to visit Indonesia and Vietnam. So we went out to the 2nd and 3rd tier cities in the rural areas and to sit down for hours actually with different people to understand what is life like. I went into this young Vietnamese boy's home. His home is very simple. Actually, some of the windows don't even have curtains, so he hangs T-shirts up to hide the sunlight. And he just lies on the floor to take a nap, so it's a very simple home. But when I go into his place and ask him questions, he takes out his cell phone, and he starts showing me he has an online marketplace that he set up himself to trade leather jackets and Dr. Martens boots in 40 degrees Celsius weather. So I asked him, he's about 21, 22 years old. And I said, why would you do that? Who wears leather jackets in Vietnam in the middle of summer? And he said, it doesn't matter. It is something that is trendy. It is a symbol of status when you have a pair of Doc Martens. And we love being photographed wearing these jackets. And it's a market to trade, like people trade Birkin bags or watches or car parts or whatever we do. And he loves telling me about it. He's very savvy with using his mobile app to create this self-driven market trade. That is a very good example of micro MSME, we call it micro, small, medium enterprise in developing countries that are driven by individuals, and they create their own marketplace, and they have leapfrogged the PC and landline era. They went from not going online to just going straight to mobile and using all the functions today that a smartphone can offer. I'll give you another example and when we talk about opportunities. During COVID, a lot of things were paralyzed too. Many farmers were scratching their heads on thinking, how can we transact our goods? Meat and fruits, they go bad within days. We are still getting our harvest, and people who need food are not getting it. And so one of the things that Grab and many other apps that have a mobility function doing is to facilitate the transportation in a much larger scale and requiring much higher efficiency because the demand is suddenly so high so that we can eliminate as much of the middlemen as possible who are actually trying to make money off of a crisis. Within, I think, 5 days in Vietnam, we transacted over 100 tons of lychee. I think if we pour it all into this room, it will hit us all in the head and drown half of us. But there's just so incredible amount of volume of goods that had a pent-up demand of being matched the supply and demand. During COVID-2 in Singapore, I don't know if you've ever been to a hawker center. It's a very staple everyday food aspect. Many of the hawker centers are run by uncles and aunties that are older who have run for many, many years. They're brick and mortar business. They're not digitally savvy. They transact by cash. They use pens to write down orders. And so during COVID, it was very hard because there's no footfall. And so Grab and some other companies too, we created this thing called basket mix and match order because each unit price of each order is actually quite low. So if you just order a digital food delivery online, the economics may not make sense for them. But however, if you batch together 6 different orders or you allow the consumer to order from different stalls and so the bulk order amount is bigger, then you can make it work. So those are kind of creative things that digital economy, private economy, platform economies were doing to modernize, so to speak, many of the traditional businesses or the newly emerging businesses. But however, with opportunities also come challenges, right? So with a lot of these hawker centers, I told you, that are run by more elderly people, you need to teach them how to use the phone. I was born in the early 1980s. Even for me, I never use Snapchat. It's too much for me to handle. And a lot of very digitally savvy things, I need to ask my younger brother and my younger sister, who's like 15 years younger than me, to help me, because I went through high school writing letters, right? Imagine if you talk to people who are from kind of the earlier baby boomer days. So running digital literacy capacity building programs is a key for both private and public sector. So for example, Grab partnered with MasterCard, we partnered with Microsoft, where we have digital literacy programs, cybersecurity programs, just to educate on something that we kind of take for granted if every day that's our lingo, but other people it's not. And when they are to have a technophobia, then they miss out on all the benefits that the digital transformation can offer them. So that's one thing. And the other thing is, June talked about 7,000 islands in Philippines. Indonesia, we don't have Indonesians here representing, but Indonesia has 17,000 islands. And people speak different indigenous languages. People live in very different ways. They have different religions that dictate how people, for example, women live in a more conservative manner, right? So all these things need to be taken into account. There is an island, there's an island, more remote area called in Kalimantan in Indonesia, where we discovered to buy a wok to cook your noodles is 6 times more expensive than in Jakarta, the capital of the city. Why? Because probably 20 different middlemen are trying to make money off of that person who's buying a wok, which is ridiculous, right? But that is what happens when you don't have perfect information, when you don't have transparency, when you don't have a central standardized system that offers products to a remote person in a rural area versus you're in the center of the urban development. So technology can help bridge that if there is education and assurance of safety. So that is my last kind of important point is, I hope nobody here has been frauded by someone online, scammed. I most certainly have, and there are quite a few times I almost gave away kind of my bank account information to someone who told me that, I don't know, some family member might have a problem. Even in the US, which is quite advanced, there's people scamming the IRS with information with a phone number online that almost corresponds with someone who's calling you, who's quoting that, and that's all scam as well. I don't know how they do it, but it's very advanced. Can you imagine in Southeast Asia, where many of these people, everyday people, they're not used to that language. Everyone's just saying how great going online is, so they trust it. And yet, all the scammers who are very, very advanced in how to scam people, they will know where to come in. Even here in Hong Kong, a lot of domestic helpers from Philippines and Indonesia, they are preyed on by loan sharks here who would only present partial facts of lending money to them and never mention what is actually the real interest rate. And many of them have paid back the amount just by dollar, still not knowing what is the actual interest rate after they've lost most of their life savings, having spent 20 years here serving someone's family. The list goes on. So I do think taking into account data security, cybersecurity, how creative fraudsters are, and we need to be, as policymakers and industry decision makers, how can we be even smarter, even more creative, and preempt them by educating everybody? Those are all really important factors and solutions to address these challenges in this age of digital transformation. Thank you. I don't know about the time, but I think I talk pretty fast. I should be in.
Don't worry about the time. Yeah, thanks, Irara. Well, that's very, very insightful, all the things that you have shared. Now, let's have the last speaker, then before we open to the floor for questions. Timothy.
Thank you. So let me just briefly introduce myself. My name is Timothy Tam, and I'm the head of Government Affairs and Public Policy at Google Hong Kong. So welcome everyone. I know a lot of you have traveled from different countries, different markets to Hong Kong for this conference. So hopefully you will be able to spend some good time tonight and hopefully later this week as well. So my fellow speakers and panelists have already talked about a lot of the key themes and topics. The importance of supporting talent, supporting e-government, how we can leverage technologies to tackle daily life challenges, and how we can further unleash the potential of digitization in Southeast Asia and also Asia more broadly. So I think a lot of the key themes are actually commonly agreed among us. And I don't have a presentation deck, but I just wanted to share a few observations and also some statistics for everyone's consideration, and also some thoughts on how the public sector and the private sector can further work together so that we can unleash the full potential of digitization. So with that, I think we all agree that APAC is the region with a lot of growth potential. But again, there are a lot of people who are kind of left behind. So inclusive growth is very important. How we can make sure that we can equip the population with digital literacy, on digital skilling, and also how we can equip them with the knowledge on like identifying mis or disinformation, and how we can surface more quality information to the users. So these are all the questions that we as platforms, as private companies, and also the public stakeholders, the public sector stakeholders will work together to address these issues. And I think we are also all very optimistic about the growth potential of the digital economy in Asia. And it's a region of action, creativity, and dynamism, as my fellow panelists have shared. In Thailand, in Vietnam, in the Philippines, we are all leveraging the next wave of digital. How some of the markets are actually skipping through some of the intermediate stages and go directly to mobile. And you know, a lot of people can use their mobile phones to create their online marketplaces, and they can become sole proprietors with their own hands. And now I would like to share with you some figures and some observations based on Google's work in collaboration with some of our partners. And I think one of the figures was actually mentioned by Ilaria as well. So together with Temasek and Bain, Google has been tracking Southeast Asia's digital economy for the past 7 years throughout our Southeast Asia e-economy reports. So the outcomes of our most recent report are very striking. When we first started this research series in 2016, our original projection was that the Southeast Asian digital economy could reach $200 billion by gross merchandise value, or GMV, by 2025. But right now we know that we have been very wrong, and very happily so, because actually we reached that estimate 3 years earlier by 2022. And again, the region is on track towards a 1 trillion GMV by 2030. That is what Ilaria just mentioned in her sharing as well. And again, how would so we know all the potential, all these great momentum going on in the region in the past decade, in the past few years. And we also know in terms of people there are a lot of potential as well. So in the last 3 years alone, during the pandemic, there were 100 million new internet users across Southeast Asia. And many of them are actually the first-time internet users. So they may be encountering some technical difficulties. They may be encountering some difficulties with digital skilling, digital literacy, and so on. So how we will work together to help these new internet users to, leverage the potential of digitization. And here I'm also very pleased to share some of the work that Google has been doing across the region, together with other private sector and public sector stakeholders. So firstly, in terms of support for small and medium-sized enterprises, and some of those MSMEs, the micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, we have helped train over 3 million SMB workers across Southeast Asia in digital skills through what we call as the Grow with Google program. And secondly, we also supported the Asia Foundation to launch a program called Go Digital ASEAN, which is a program that has trained more than 200,000 underserved MSMEs and job seekers in critical digital skills. And thirdly, we have committed 150,000 Google Career Certificate scholarships to underserved learners and enterprises across the region. And these all cover the very necessary and highly in-demand skills, such as cybersecurity that some of us have mentioned, as well as digital marketing, UX design, and so on. And even in Hong Kong, we are also rolling out this Google Career Certificate Scholarships program. And we are partnering with a key NGO in Hong Kong called the Hong Kong Federation of Youth Groups for the second consecutive year now. And we are distributing these scholarships to the underserved communities, including students from high schools and universities, and also some of the people who are looking for transition to tech jobs. So the aim is that if they study part-time for 3 or 6 months via these online courses, and hopefully they will be able to gain some entry-level knowledge for a new IT career. So that is a hope. And across APAC, we are also partnering with various NGOs and public sector organizations just to educate businesses and also users on the importance of safeguarding their own information and different tips on digital literacy, such as identifying misinformation and disinformation. But again, we understand that talent, peopleware, skilling, they're only a part of the equation. And what is the other part is also a key factor in today's discussion. How we can work on regulations and policies together. I mean the public sector and the private sector working together. So now I would like to share another statistics with you. The Digital Policy Alert, which is a public database of policy changes that affect cross-border digital commerce, recorded 1,300 policy or regulatory changes from January 2020 to now. So that is quite a lot across APAC. And of course, they cover different areas, including content, privacy, and other policy agendas. And this kind of policy fragmentation would actually undermine some of the potential of the internet to lift new businesses and also hurt consumers and SMBs disproportionately. So how we can make sure that we can, of course, have some risk-based approach to address some of the biggest challenges that technologies may bring to society and bring to users, while also making sure that we are not going to stifle innovation. And that's why it's very important for some of the regional and international platforms like APAC and ASEAN to work on these issues of policy fragmentation. And I can also give an example like digital trade. We always want to minimize all the barriers for digital trade because, again, if you have any barriers for cross-border data transfer and you have requirements for data localization, ultimately, it's not just affecting large corporations, but those small and medium enterprises and sole proprietors who may not have the necessary expertise and knowledge to deal with all these challenges. They're actually the ones who are being affected disproportionately. So 1,300 policy and legislative changes since January 2020. That's quite a lot. And hopefully we'll have more forums like this one and also some other forums through regional and international institutions that can help us drive some more convergence in terms of policy and regulations in digital economy. So that's all for my sharing for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Timothy. Right, we now open the floor for questions. Anybody? Anyone online also that has questions?
I'd like to answer this question.
So,
To overcome the problem of fragmentation of policy. Actually, we copied Thailand. We copied from the UK 2 or 3 years ago. UK started the Digital Regulation Collaboration Forum, where they, starting to let these regulators to have a way to talk to each other, something like that. So in Thailand, we started last year, unofficially, we believe that, regulators need to talk to each other more and closely, because digital is going to have more impact on the way they regulate their, organization. But that is all country level. But I imagine that, for example, in ASEAN, I think we should have some sort of, digital regulation forum among, country in ASEAN, or probably in APAC or something like that. Thank you.
thank you, Thank you, Dr. Sa. Any questions from the floor? Or y'all waiting to go home to enjoy Hong Kong? Any question online? No, huh? Okay. Maybe just one question for the panel. So all the digital efforts and all the initiatives, should we change course because of economy is getting a bit gloomy or uncertain, or you think that we should just push on?
You said, should we, sorry, what course?
Sorry?
Like you said,
Should we change course? Is there anything that we need to change course, or is what we are doing, no matter whatever condition that is coming, that we should continue to push on? I mean, in the private sector, they are scaling back some of this, yeah. But I think on the government side, I guess also they are watching all the economic uncertainty. Yeah, will that pose a challenge to all the existing programs? I'm not sure any of the government sides will say, okay, let's reprioritize things. I mean, these are hard questions, yeah.
Let me answer your question. From the Philippines' perspective is that you don't have digital transformation once you don't spend. So we encourage spending in the Philippines. Right now, for the longest time, it has been a problem in the Philippines as to what the direction is. Now the direction is there. So I think it's really pushing forward. That's the only way to do. And that's the only way to go. And we cannot deprive ourselves from not preparing for the next pandemic or any other things like that of some sort. So right now, if you have that capacity to actually spend, most especially if the government, that's also helping the economy to revive back the economy. And from the Philippines, that's the perspective now. And we do copy and paste. We learn from the best and the brightest, and then we take the good things from them. So that's the trajectory right now in the Philippines.
Okay.
Any other?
Yes, in Vietnam, that we are started officially 3 years ago, and basically it's 3 years ago we just don't know how to digital transformation. And we promote a lot of things, a lot of events, a lot of the news on the internet, on the TV, and a lot of K by K education. However, exactly it is here. We just know how to do. That is my story. And this year we choose the slogan for the digital transformation about the digital database. Yeah, we promote for database for all of the people in Vietnam, for ID, digital ID, like in Thailand and also we promote the database regarding to the government and private sector as well. We make it in the one platform to can share and can get and can decision by database. And up to now, I think in Vietnam we are very happy to can following the digital transformation program from the Prime Minister, and we up to now we not exactly the much difficult, but just I think that the digital transformation could be success basically following all of the people. All of the people, we can change, maybe some people can change behavior. You can use on the internet, you can pay by card. Yeah, not cash. Yeah, also you can change how to can work like we don't need to do by hard copy, hard document. You can send everything on the internet. And we must to change behavior. However, the most thing I think it's important for the head of the head. That means everything new thing must to following bottom down. Yes. Something policy we make it bottom up. And if we would like to do new thing, we must to up down. Just the head of the company, the head of the government must to do first, and to change the mind of everybody in the company, everybody in the country. So if they think the head thinks that it's important, so they can contribute a lot of issue, a lot of resources to make it better and better. And that I mean that it's an important thing we need to do. And I'm very happy that in this forum, we raise the content. So everyone here, maybe from the government, from the private sector, can know it's important. So we change our mind. We know that it's important, so we do, and we work together. I think it's great time to do right now. Just so, thank you.
Maybe I'll just add a quick comment from the private sector. I don't know, maybe Google has a view. I think that your question is, people will answer differently if you're from government or the private sector. Yeah. I think absolutely, in this environment of high inflation, shrinking growth, private sector definitely should have a clear path to profitability. I think gone is the era of free money flowing everywhere and free money, zero interest rate, chasing yield-based or tech stocks that have a very high revenue growth outlook but unclear bottom line outlook. So I do think all private sector companies, especially tech companies, need to have a discipline. However, your question is about investing in digital transformation. That involves talent, that involves infrastructure, that involves laying the groundwork for the thriving of the digital ecosystem. And I think smart people who have wisdom in investments seldom behave reactively to economic cycles. They usually foresee what's going to happen a few cycles later, and they start investing and building their fort in order to prepare for the scenario in the future. And I think all good leaders, especially the ones who initiate digital transformation, they should have that foresight. And I don't think an economic downturn should affect it at all. If anything, Jun's point on is that you can create employment at a much lower cost. I mean, Google, I don't want to use you as an example, but you're a great example. In Silicon Valley, you're laying off very talented engineers. And what do you do if you get laid off by Google? Why don't you go and help transform a nation? That's not shabby at all. Right. And this is a perfect time to pick up talent. So I think if you're opportunistic and you're smart, you will make use of the global recession and high inflation environment and talent abundant environment and the layoffs and be opportunistic about it and smart about it and try to build as much as you can when the labor market is becoming less tight. So I do think the private sector and the public sector should be talking to each other in this aspect, sharing talent, sharing plans, sharing bottlenecks, sharing possibilities. I think in crisis, it creates heroes, and I think we should make use of what's going on right now in the world. Do you have any comment?
Any comment?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I think.
Did you lay off this?
So luckily, I'm still with Google. And going back to the question, so I think talent, support for SMBs, cybersecurity, and digital literacy, these are almost like the evergreen topics that we are talking about, irrespective of economic situation and irrespective of where you are in the world. So I do think that we should double down on these topics, and we should have more public-private collaboration between companies and regulators, policymakers across APAC. And again, we always have all these emerging technologies. It could be AI or it could be something else later. So how we could leverage the potential or leverage the platforms of public-private partnership, such as APAC and ASEAN that I just mentioned. How we could leverage these regional platforms to drive some convergence in policy and regulations. And how we could work together to leverage AI and other technologies to handle some of the most pressing societal challenges, like climate change, sustainability, public health, and so on. And of course, like transport challenges, like issues regarding infrastructure, smart city, how we can have AI and also technology-driven solutions. And last but not least, I think we all recognize the need for smart regulation. We are not opposed to regulation or legislation, but it's important that we have smart and sensible regulation that can really address the risk in a targeted manner, while also do not stifle innovation. And our CEO has also repeatedly stated that AI is too important not to regulate, and also too important not to regulate well. So I will just end this based on this note, and I'm sure this would be another round of discussion and possibly another conference, actually.
Yeah, okay. Mindful of the time, there's 5 minutes before 6 o'clock. So let me just summarize some of the points that bring up. Pardon if I use my own word. I guess right at the top, there must be a vision, right? A vision from the top about how you want your economy, how the government and the private sector to work together to drive digital transformation. Then after that, on the economic side, you probably need to have what you call digital enterprises, help to make use of digital technology to transform your business. And for the government side, you used to call it e-government, now we call it digital government, and it must have one face, not thousands of faces, right? And there is also things about digital innovation, how you build that capability, how you bring in new technology, right? And how you innovate so that you can prepare for the next frontier. Digital workforce, I thought is something that really grooming your local workforce core to be globally competitive. Yeah. So be it whether you are working for an enterprise or you are micro SME, in a remote village, trying to sell leather jackets and things like that, you need to be digital. You need to know how to trade online, how to use that mobile technology, that app, super app, and things like that. On the infrastructure, I think one talk about all the 5G, broadband, that is important. I mean, for a small city like Singapore, it's quite easy, but it is very important for big countries who are quite well spread. Then that infrastructure has to be deployed as much as possible to reach the last mile. And Timothy talked about smart regulation. I think that's important. We also don't want to stifle innovation. Generative AI is in the mouth of everybody, but how do we harness it while watching its bad side of it, right? I think last but not least is to build a digital and inclusive society. How do you educate your citizens to embrace digital, to use digital for life, right? How do they make them stay safe, especially for the vulnerable group? How do they stay safe in this online world? So I think that's my sum. Oh, yeah, one more thing. Yes, on the regional and international front, right? Dr. Sak talked about learning from each other, right? learning from each other. There should be more collaboration. And that's why I think next year we'll come back again for APAC DNS Forum 2024. Yeah, we have more sharing, maybe more MOUs, more collaboration. Yep. Okay, did I miss anything, my distinguished panel? Thank you. Okay, with that, we come to the end of this session. First, I'd like to thank my panel of distinguished speaker for sharing the valuable insight. Next is ICANN and HKIRC for hosting this excellent second edition forum. We'll hope to have more to come. And for those who are staying behind, do enjoy Hong Kong. And for those who are going back tonight or tomorrow, safe trip. Thank you. See you next year. Thank you.
Thank you.